Well, hello there, friends and lovers. And thank you for joining us. This is 5 Minutes with Robert, me, and Amy.
Hello.
Nasir, and you. And we are glad you are here, especially Paul and Jim and Jennifer in the chat. Thank you for joining us. And I hope all the rest of you will pile on this fine March 22nd, a very, very important day, both in history and in the present, in ways that we are eager to cover, to share with you. Thank you for joining us. We're glad you are here. Today is Sunday, March 22nd, 2026, the 81st day of the year. Your best year, 2026, your best year yet. We're going to discuss some of the ways in which we can be sure that is going to happen if it's not already for you. Christmas is in 278 days, which Amy says, yeah, whatever. When's Halloween? That's in 223 days. And summer in 91. Summer in 90. Wait, does that mean yesterday was springtime? Yes, spring is here in the Northern Hemisphere. Autumn for those of you south of the equator who've been waiting for things to cool down a little bit. But man, am I glad that spring is here. Yesterday was a good day. Great Lakes Objectivists Monthly Get-Together. Amy, how was Great Lakes Objectivists Monthly Get-Together?
It was really, really nice. I mean, it was... we have a great group of people, and they're all very much interested in Ayn Rand and studying Galt's speech, which we're currently studying right now. We are on pages, I think, 20 to 30 or something like that. And so we're doing this in sections of 10 pages per month so that we can get through all of the pages throughout the year. And we just got through the virtues.
Right.
We went through justice, productiveness, and pride. And also some really extraordinary writing, kind of an introductory to the fieriness of John Galt.
Yes,
it's really great.
This month and last month was all about virtues, the positive.
Yes.
And next month we're going to get into polemics. It's going to be a little more feisty. Mm-hmm. But I love covering the virtues in this speech, folks. I know a lot of us found the speech in Atlas Shrugged section in the middle, well, 2/3 of the way through the book, to be big. It was big. It was really big. Going back to it now and rereading that speech, it's wonderful. And so if you, like some of us, found it hard to get through, or maybe even kind of skip to the end, no worries. But once you get back to it, so good. But yes, really thank you. Thank you to those of you, including folks in the chat who attended Great Lakes Objectivists last night. Sorry the beef didn't turn out quite as tender as we were shooting for.
We did our best, and I think it was quite good.
Gave it one more hour after everybody served themselves, and now it's all the leftovers are nice and tender. But we will make sure that next month we get back to our usual standards. And everybody had a good time nonetheless. Great conversations, great insights. And thank you for that. Summer is in 91 days. Spring was yesterday. And I don't know, April 5th is what? Well, it's 14 days away. It's a huge holiday that everybody should plan to celebrate.
This is very true.
It's also Easter. But the more important thing is, Amy's birthday. If you're not already involved in our upcoming birthday celebration the day before, reach out to us on the socials. That's all I'll say about that, at least until we get closer. And on this date, because I said March 22nd is big day in history, big day in the present. On this date, March 22nd, 1765. Take a look at this. Of course, you already have a copy of the Ron Tool and the Capitalists EP with the big Stamp Act skull and crossbones on the cover. Here, let me actually bring that up historically. Historically. That graphic that our singer, Ron Toole, chose for the cover of the EP, it's actually an extended play. Even though it's 7 inches like a single, it's 33 1/3 RPM. That was actually chosen from this newspaper article outlining the Stamp Act of 1765. So the graphic was used on the cover of Ron Toole and the Capitalists. I know you already have a copy of this EP, Punk is Right, including the hit single, He Who Must Die. But if you don't, reach out to it. Well, assuming you still have a vinyl player. Otherwise, just follow the link that I put online. You can listen to that single on the YouTubes for the cost of nothing, which is less than they were charging to put a stamp on our imports. Or was it our exports? Tariffs were an issue way back when we went to war over them. So don't let anybody tell you, well, back in the revolutionary days, tariffs were legitimate and it's how we funded our government. Yeah, it's also what we broke away from England for. So there you go. I'm going to jump forward in time to 1933. So a couple hundred years in the future. And we got to thank FDR. Okay, we don't have to thank Franklin Delano Roosevelt. We definitely don't thank Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Frelado is his new name.
Yes, I'm going to say that like I made fun of him, like it was intentional. But this was the date on which Franklin Delano Roosevelt legalizes the sale of beer and wine. We've celebrated this one before. Did you know there used to be alcohol prohibition in the United States, and not just sale to minors, but no, you couldn't buy alcohol. And in fact, the government went out there and they poisoned the alcohol of people who were producing it. It's the worst. Well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's pretty damn bad. And on this date, in order to roll back prohibition, Franklin D. Roosevelt signs the Beer and Wine Revenue Act, which made beer and wine legal again. It wasn't until December, so however many months that is from March 22nd, that they finally repealed the amendment to the Constitution calling for yes, there was actually an amendment to the Constitution back then. If you were going to outlaw alcohol, they did it the right way. They did the wrong thing the right way. They had an actual constitutional amendment. And you can't actually get rid of a constitutional amendment. What you do is you pass another amendment that repeals the prior act. And that's exactly what was done eventually. But at least on this date, FDR makes beer. And so if you have beer, if you have wine, drink a toast. I'm having a bad allergy day, so I'm going to toast you with coffee, my usual beverage for the show. If I start sniffling or coughing or sneezing, I've still got that Stamp Act up on the screen there. Let's get rid of that. Thank you for that, folks.
We've been stamped.
Yeah, Jennifer says, did you know the album pick is stuck on the screen? You would think I would.
Well, you not only do you host the show, Robert, you put the graphics up, you're doing a lot. I'm just, kind of looking at the chat and saying hello to people. When the people in the chat tell me what I'm doing wrong, please do pass that on. I sometimes get, talking and Amy gets, short shrift until she, of course, comes up with something brilliant to say and finally interrupts me. So, yes, the Stamp Act on this day, again, that discussion about that used for the cover of our record. The FDR legalizes the sale of beer and wine after, 13 years of prohibition? Mm. Insane, and responsible for all manner of organized crime and all of that good stuff, meaning bad stuff. Yeah, that prohibition was ratified in 1919. It actually went into effect in 1920, and it was 1933 before it was fully repealed. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. But it did lead to a lot of good movies about gangsters and organized crime and all the things that happen when you make things illegal that should be open to adults to choose. Yeah. It's one of those interesting things that a lot of politicians and people in government and people who vote this kind of stuff in is you think that you're doing good and you're nudging people or you're forcing people to do something virtuous, like stop drinking, whatever. And you're actually making things a whole lot worse because you're undercutting the nature of being a human being, of being volitional, of having to choose your actions, choose your thoughts, and actually accept whatever virtues you may have, and trying to understand them and trying to act on them. And you're just forced into something. And it is, it produces the opposite effect. Yeah. If you criminalize free behavior, you get more criminals. But even worse than that, you short circuit
independent judgment.
That's right.
You take that one thing that's responsible for everything good we have, human reason, and you take a hammer to it, or you bludgeon it with a blunt instrument. So yes, thank goodness that the repeal was started in March 22nd on this date and finally went into effect in December of this year. Also on this date, we will wish a happy birthday in the year 2233 to James Tiberius Kirk.
Yes.
James T. Kirk, March 22nd, 2233. Happy eventually birthday to you. Star Trek fans already know that this is James T. Kirk's birthday. There's some argument about the year. Was it 2233 or 2228? The whole Stardate thing got a little bit complicated, so take it for what it's worth. In either case, it is canon that it is March 22nd. And why is that? Because March 22nd is also the birthday of the great and still with us, like going out into space for real and stuff, William Shatner.
Yes.
Yes, William Shatner is 95 years old today.
And still going strong and still seems to be with it. And Robert and actually Jennifer in the chat were able to...
we got to meet T.J. Hooker.
Yeah, T.J. Hooker. Yeah, unfortunately I had COVID that day, but it's a long time ago. But as we very affectionately call him the Shitner.
I don't call him that.
Because he is the,
Yeah, he is. Well, I get that expression. A term of endearment. Yeah, he's the stuff. But we love Captain William Shatner.
Yeah, William Shatner is great. And you said also in your notes that it's Talk Like William Shatner Day.
There is an informal there is an informal holiday. Talk Like William Shatner Day.
He doesn't talk like that. I don't think he does.
So everybody out there, enjoy doing your best, or in our case, your worst William Shatner impression, because yes, it is the informal holiday Talk Like William Shatner Day. And he does. He sounds like William Shatner. He does record albums. He did a whole rock album, for example, with Billy Sherwood. And
yeah,
if you've heard him do rock and roll, you know what he does. He doesn't sing it. He kind of narrates it in his William Shatner voice. And he's doing a new one, or did do another one coming up. He's going to do a heavy metal album, and I'm sure it's just going to be him doing the Talk Like William Shatner voice, because he is too cool. The guy is too cool. Whatever your criticisms of his style, he is, by just about all measures, amazing. And Jennifer says, "I can't believe it. It was bad." It is. It's like the. Leonard Nimoy did that too. He did the Bilbo Baggins song, and it's all cringe, but
yeah,
more power to him.
You read Jennifer's post wrong. She said, "I can't believe."
Oh, right. She's typing in William Shatner's voice. That's good.
With periods in between the words.
Yeah.
Good way.
Yeah. Of course, when I think of William Shatner, what do I think of? Well, what link did I put in the description and the show notes that you can find on YouTube? Of course, he had a role in the film Miss Congeniality.
Yes.
Yes, he emceed the beauty pageant in the film. Miss Congeniality is a film you should see.
She's beauty. She's grace. She's Miss United States.
Yes. So good. So good. Actually, like the film Legally Blonde, which I'll get to in a minute too. One of our favorite films, Miss Congeniality, Legally Blonde. Both are, if you like comedies, if you like big-hearted comedies that are also very funny, see both of those films, and do not see their sequels, which did not live at all up to them. A lot of my favorite films, the sequels are terrible. Babe, for example, is a film where you should absolutely see the film Babe. A talking pig movie? Yes, a talking pig movie. One of the best films. Do not see the sequel. And the same is true for Miss Congeniality, but William Shatner was great fun in the original. So all cheers and hails. You can cheers because now you can drink wine and beer, according to FDR, to the great 95-year-old William Shatner. We love celebrating birthdays, but I especially love celebrating the birthdays of people who are still with us, who are not metaphysically challenged. Another one on that list is the great George Benson, who is 83 years old today, so not as old as William Shatner, but he's still touring. One of the great jazz players who also crossed over into pop music by doing songs like This Masquerade, written incidentally by the great Leon Russell, who is no longer with us. But George Benson is, and he is out there on tour, rock and rolling. It came up in a thread on the socials. Some of you are mutual friends of Larry Green, the piano player. And he was celebrating something about modern medicine or modern tech. And some conspiracy-minded person went on there and said, no. Big Pharma, all they care about is money. They've never cured anything. They never cured cancer, because if they cured cancer, there wouldn't be any money in it for them, etc. You've heard the spiel before. I couldn't resist going on there and commenting, but then after that, I see William Shatner is 95 years old.
Yes.
George Benson is 83 and touring.
Mm-hmm.
And touring is no mean feat.
No, it's
That's a young man's game, but he's young at 83. And it got me thinking, well, I'm not young anymore, but I'm still a kid. There were people who are the age I am right now when I was growing up, and we're like, oh yeah, there's that old person. Nowadays, you get to be in your 50s, your 60s, even your 70s, and you still expect, you don't just hope for, you expect quality of life.
Yes.
And professionals, Roger Daltrey used to sing Pete Townshend's lyrics, I hope I die before I get old. He's still out there singing. I know the Who officially did their farewell concert, but they've done that several times. He's still rock and rolling.
Yep. Yeah, by the way, George Benson, I got to say, I mean, I don't know all of his songs, but I do know there's this really kind of like smooth and funky song that he did called Give Me the Night.
Just give me the night. Yeah. Oh, so good.
It's really good. It's got such a great funky beat to it. And it's also, I mean, it's danceable, but also just, it's lovely just to listen to. And that's from 1980.
Yeah, I saw him as a teenager back in the day and didn't know anything about him, but it's the kind of show you can go to and just appreciate how good and how entertaining he was. And I'm sure still is. So happy birthday, George Benson. One more birthday today. It's 50th birthday, so youngster. Reese Witherspoon is 50 years old today. And as I mentioned earlier, if you haven't seen the film Legally Blonde, my favorite film with Reese Witherspoon in it. And there's a without her spoon joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to leave that one on the table. So happy 50th birthday to the star of Legally Blonde. Legally
Blonde, and some others too. I'm trying to think. There was one that she was in. Oh, Sweet Home Alabama. That was a really nice one if you like romantic comedies.
Yeah, cute rom-com.
Yeah, very, very nice. And but no, she's really good. In Legally Blonde, man, she was just so good.
And she pulled off.
And it doesn't. It doesn't age. I mean, I should say it ages well, and you can still watch it. It's really fun.
Yes. And fortunately, I have known some blondes in my life who had that unique good-naturedness. Not ditzy and not cliquish, just fun people. And that's the thing about that film. They give you a character who is both benevolent and believable. Mm-hmm. There's a brunette in the film, for example, who is her antagonist. And there's no fighting or war on behalf of the main character.
Yeah.
She wins people over. And there are villains she doesn't win over. It's not just everybody's nice to each other, but it's so good-natured.
It is good-natured, yes. And it isn't, it doesn't, unlike movies and TV shows from the 70s and 80s, it doesn't portray blondes as bimbos, or just money, gold diggers, I should say. It's Reese Witherspoon plays it so very well, and she's so intelligent, benevolent, and confident in herself. I really, really appreciate that. Even though growing up, I did have a bias against blonde women. which I've gotten over since I have been blonde myself.
Yeah.
And it's fun, you know.
Right. Yep. Eric says she's a bit more than a year and 4 months older than me. Loved that movie except for the guy who loved nihilism. You're right. And the one thing that I like about the film is it's not all sunshine and light. And it's not just there's a bad guy. There's also a kind of bad guy who's just, a ne'er-do-well, a social climber. And it's not just all sunshine and light, but it's a lot of sunshine and light.
Yes.
My kind of stuff. As somebody mentioned The Godfather 2 recently. I don't know if I've ever seen that film. There is a whole list of films that everybody must see that I haven't seen because I thought, who wants to go through that? And I get it. I get the film is extremely well made. The characters are extremely well portrayed. You get to see bad people meet their comeuppance. And better than that, you get to see explanations for why there even are bad people. I get all of that. But I don't know. Maybe it's my age, although I still think I'm just a kid. I don't want to sit through 2 hours of that, as interesting and all that as it is. So,
gosh, there are so many films that you and I have not watched that people everywhere have watched.
Maybe some year we'll just set a year aside, when we're in our 120s or something. And
I'd rather not.
Because modern medicine will give us that ability, and we will watch.
Let's see, we would watch Titanic. We would watch Saving Private Ryan. We would watch, what else?
Films we haven't seen that we don't want to see.
The Godfather series, I guess.
Yeah, well, a lot of films along those lines, yeah.
Yeah,
disaster movies, dystopian movies, gangster films. Oh, I've seen a few gangster films, but not many.
Yeah.
I even, preferred the fun gangster films and crime films that I don't know if I would ever watch again. But, fun stuff like The Sting, I could watch that any day and twice on Sundays.
I would say my favorite film noir is Double Indemnity.
Double Indemnity,
with
Fred McMurray.
Fred McMurray.
And Barbara Stanwyck.
Ed Robinson? Wait.
Oh, yeah. Eddie G. Why am I forgetting?
Edward G. Robinson?
Edward G. Robinson, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Love him so much.
Oh, Jennifer says that she's never saw a lot of famous movies either. Jaws, Godfather, Exorcist.
Me neither.
It's sad because when I was young, my ne'er-do-well stepfather would take us to the movies, and it would often be films he wanted to see that we shouldn't have seen at that age. And I saw The Exorcist when it came out. And as you can guess, I was very, very young because obviously I'm not that old now. And we saw a few like that. I saw Jaws in the theater. And Roy Scheider, not Rob Schneider, Roy Scheider. It would have been better with Rob Schneider. Anyway, no, good film, great film. Well acted, well presented, very interesting. You get to see how politics corrupts people and leads to disasters. And I get it.
There's two others that I thought of just now. Eternal Sunshine of the
Spotless Mind.
Of the Spotless Mind. Probably will never see that.
But it's so clever.
We bought the DVD of Life is Beautiful. Have never seen it.
I haven't even cracked the package open. It seemed like it was a great movie. And then the more I think about it, do I want to watch a film about a guy who manages to make things better for his poor young child in the concentration camps in Nazi Germany? And apparently it's brilliant, but I don't know if I'll ever get around to actually crack. By the time I open the package, I don't even know if we'll have a working Blu-ray player anymore. We'll see how that goes. But happy birthday, Reese Witherspoon, and do see Legally Blonde if you never did.
Audrey's in the chat on Facebook, and she says, I have not seen Game of Thrones 2.
We tried. We got through a couple episodes.
Well, 1 or 2 episodes, and they were so ridiculous. They were the most ridiculous things ever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I don't understand how anybody could. Well, I'm sorry. I apologize for anybody who likes it, but.
Well, if there are fans out there, maybe you can explain it to us. Why do you want to spend, however long the episodes are in that world? Because I'm all for having it explained to me. I'm open to it.
It was ridiculous. It was. I couldn't quite get it. So apologies to people who like it, but I couldn't get it.
Yeah, it was. What was the most recent film we saw where it was just terrible things happening to terrible people? And not like there are, some good guys who are, up against them and heroically trying to, but just bad people behaving badly.
And how fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. It was that Wes Anderson movie. I think you finished it, but I did not.
Yeah, I wouldn't characterize that one that way, though.
Oh, no. Okay.
You might.
All right. Yeah.
What was that called? The
something about a nurse.
The something. No, it was one of these Middle Eastern countries. The name of it that isn't a country anymore, and it was that. I can't believe I can't remember the name of it. The Phoenician Scheme. That's what it was called.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There were entertaining parts of that. That's one of the films you can watch and say, well, I can see why that was entertaining. It was weird, but entertaining. All the way back when Jim asked if I heard Shatner do Mr. Tambourine Man. I've heard parts of it, yes. And that's one of the ways in which I found out just what Shatner sounds like when he does rock and roll.
Yeah. And we forgot Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity.
No, I think I mentioned that.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay, I love her so much. Oh my gosh, so good.
And I didn't have the Facebook chat up early enough. Jim said, that's my favorite of your jams, Robert. I don't know which jam maybe the opening music? I don't know.
Maybe.
It's funny because I tried for a little bit there. I tried putting up a version of that I let AI change into a major key.
Yes.
It's in E minor, and it changed it to the relative major G. And then we took a vote on it. Everybody said no, the old theme. You said the old theme.
I said the old theme.
So I've gone back to the old theme. You would think a guy like me would have an opening music in a major key, and that's what I was thinking when I had it modified. But no, everybody wants the old.
So did you changed it back, right?
I changed it back, yeah.
Okay, good.
I still got the other one that I think I threw in at Halloween or something.
Right.
Yeah, Narendra has not seen The Godfather or even Harry Potter. Well, you should see Harry Potter.
Well, yeah.
Or Game of Thrones, yeah.
I would say for Harry Potter, read the books or listen to the full cast. Audible.
There's a full cast recording. Now we're up to book 5 on those?
Yes, Order of the Phoenix. And I need to say this is going to be a little spoiler, maybe not spoilery, but there's a part, actually a good amount of Order of the Phoenix, which I loathe and despise because, anyway, it's about Harry Potter's godfather and a certain kind of communication that they could have been using, but then Harry completely forgot about it. And every time I think about that, it just irks the heck out of me. And I'm like, this is fictional negligence, J.K. Rowling. It bothers me immensely. I don't know I'm talking about the two-way mirrors. If you know the story, you'll understand what I'm saying. And that bothers me enormously. All right.
Sorry, Jim on the Facebook side of things says, thank you. I hated Game of Thrones. He says, I only saw the first season and called it quits. I couldn't tell if I was watching Lord of the Rings, The Godfather, or a porno movie. We only saw a couple episodes and had that same impression. So
we did.
There you go.
There was unfortunately a very brutal scene there was some wedding or something, and they had a tradition of the men brutalizing the women, in that certain way that's horrible and heinous, and they should be killed for. But it was taking place on a sandy beach or something, and I'm like, that's got to be uncomfortable, and it makes no sense. And I'm sorry, is this a parody?
Yeah, and I'm a little sensitive about sexual assault in the first place.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I believe that
horrible.
I believe it should be a capital crime.
Yeah.
And so, seeing that treated as, oh, look at what these people do in these uncivilized eras. Just
truly,
it's
heinous.
Not my jam. Ian Gilmore says it's a pretty whiny book.
Are you talking about Order of the Phoenix?
Oh, I assumed he was talking about George R. Martin's Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You'll have to tell us, Ian.
Maybe he was maybe by choosing that pen name, he was trying to tell us it was all a joke with the extra R. George R. Martin.
R. He said the Red Wedding. Is that the episode that we're discussing? I don't know.
It could be. I know there was a wedding involved in one of the ones we saw early on.
No, thank you.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Anyway,
So,
Yeah,
Annie,
Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, the Order of the Phoenix. I would say this about Order of the Phoenix.
what would you say about Order of the Phoenix?
Harry Potter, and I need to say this: the full cast audible version, it is a bit whiny. The movie was okay. Reading the book, just with interpreting in my head about what Harry's doing and how he's reacting to things. Yeah, he's 15 years old. He's very hormonal. He has a lot of there's a good reason for him to be whiny or angry, basically. And honestly, I like a good fiery Harry Potter. I like to see him riled up. I like to see him insulting the Death Eaters. I love to see him really getting under their skin. I love it. But leading up to that, it was just, I don't know. It's just, the payoff is good, but leading up to it, it could have been better. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I don't have any of those criticisms other than, I mean, for example, I liked the Warner Brothers films. I thought they did a great job. They're not as good as the books, but I didn't expect them to be like the books. No, the only criticism I had, why did they turn Book 7 into 2 separate films if in the first one there was only going to be 20 minutes of content and 2 hours of wandering around in the forest? But other than that, no criticisms. And you know what they say, if you can't do better yourself, then don't complain, which is one of the world's silliest criticisms, but there you go. Yes. And that takes us into shameless self-promotion and what are we listening to this week? I have nothing to promote this week, but I am curious, has anybody yet watched the Nikos and Rozzy debate on whether we will win the war? This coincides with, Robert and Amy Take on the News. Has anybody seen that debate yet? Because I haven't. I haven't either. I put it in the show notes anyway because it's on my to-do list. So let us know in the chat if you have watched the debate in which Nikos Sotirakopoulos and Rozzy Ginsburg debate the question, will we win? I'm not even sure what winning would mean at this point, other than regime change or some... No, there is no somehow this regime changes, other than regime change to a more secular, you can't say secular because they're never going to be secular, but a more secular government. So I got to watch that. And then the other one on my to watch list is Steven Pinker versus Ross Dohat debating Do We Need God? And the only reason that comes up for me is because I like Steven Pinker's books, but I have mixed feelings about him coming to Ocon. Now, if he was coming to New Orleans to hang out with us, chat in the hallways, be there for a few days, that would be great.
Sell his merch, whatever. You know what?
But what usually happens when we pay big money for a celebrity to come to Ocon is they come for the opening night. There's a 1 or 2 hour discussion on stage, and then they take off. They're basically being paid to be there and be interesting. And he will be. Steven Pinker's great. But I think I need to watch that recent debate too. So... Ian Gilmore says, I watched 10 minutes and had to stop. Didn't work for me. Yeah, I got a feeling, I'm sure you're talking about the Nikos and Rozzy one. I got a feeling that's going to be my reaction too. But it's an interesting enough topic that I'll be curious to hear what Nikos says. I already know what Rozzy says about it, but I'm curious to hear I'd be curious to hear what they both have to say about that specific point. About,
what was the point again? That are we going to win the war?
Will we win? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say no. Well, but I'm saying that with a bird's eye view in mind, and isn't that nice? So
let me know your impressions of that, and Ian, thank you for sharing yours. I appreciate that. Ian also says Rebel Yell is better than White Wedding.
Oh, well, so Ian mentioned the Red Wedding, and then Jennifer said White Wedding.
I see.
And then we're talking about Billy Idol songs.
There's a progression there. And, I love Eyes Without a Face, says Jennifer, and Blue Highway a lot.
I'm going to one-up you all and say none of them I like Generation X songs. And that's Billy Idol's punk band before he became big.
Before he sold out. Before he actually started making music the rest of us could listen to. Yeah.
Well, before he started making money.
I don't know. I like the commercial version. But I've never really listened to Generation X. I've only heard snippets. So maybe I would listen to Generation X, Billy Idol's original band, and like it better like you. I guess I can't say.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with y'all about Billy Idol. Yes, the guitar work on Rebel Yell, and but Eyes Without a Face is great. I mean, all of it's good. But the best comment so far of the evening is Ian saying, if Steven Pinker came to the Nasir's music event at Ocon, he'd become an objectivist. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And
I think you're absolutely correct. I don't know. Does Steven Pinker play an instrument?
I don't know. Maybe he would just enjoy the music so much that he would have to say, what gives these people this spirit? Well, if it was talk like William Shatner Day, anyway. So, yes,
it says
thank
here
you for that.
he's not a professional musician.
Well, neither am I. I tell you I'm a professional because I did get paid to play music, and we did release an album, so I'll take that back.
It says that Pinker argues that music is an evolutionary byproduct, a non-essential pleasurable invention that hacks into language and auditory mechanisms rather than a necessary adaptation for survival.
Yes. And,
beep, 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 boop, boop, boop.
and that makes sense because he does believe in evolutionary biology.
Yes.
And I don't mean the way most of us believe in evolutionary biology. He considers a powerful motive force, and that there are these side effects, these things that aren't part of that, but are products of that process, even though they don't have survival value. I think music has survival value.
Heck yeah.
What was it? Friedrich Nietzsche who said, "Without music, life would be a mistake," and I think he's absolutely right.
Yes.
So
thank you.
There you go, Dr. Pinker. As much as I respect your work and look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Ian says Pinker plays piano. I guess I'm getting information wrong here.
Well, he may play piano like Leonard Peikoff plays piano. Leonard Peikoff plays piano well, but he's not a professional musician.
Okay, all right.
Are you going to find some Steven Pinker piano videos?
Here. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. He is. He does play piano. He has mentioned playing and composing piano music in discussions about his personal life.
Yeah,
all right.
He's probably a better piano player than I am then.
I don't know.
But I'll bet he's not a better piano player than Greg is.
Gosh, yeah.
I know Greg was in the chat earlier, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
And Greg has played the piano at my house and actually makes it sound like a piano.
Yes.
Unlike me.
Yeah, well, I mean, Greg can play songs, like from the beginning to the end of a song. He can actually play songs. Which is
yes,
memory.
I play chords and sing along with them. That's what I do, which is fun. So anyway, we mentioned a couple of videos you can let us know about. A couple of videos we'll let you know about. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely do watch the discussion that Dan Norton had with Harry Binswanger on open immigration. Dan has now posted that as a separate video, so you don't need to sit through the half-hour intro or the 5 hours that come after that. Dan does very, very, very long shows, but just that hour and a half of the discussion, it's worth hearing. Again, whether you agree with Harry or not, it is well stated enough that it will make you think. It will have you thinking. So definitely do listen to that. And the, individualism. Yaron Brooks' show yesterday is worth a listen to. Yaron's usually worth listening to, but this was one of his topical shows, not just a news show, and a very good discussion. And finally, Knocking on Heaven's Door. There is a video clip from last week's Birthday Boys Bash in which Leo Gillis sings Bob Dylan's Knocking on Heaven's Door. I haven't posted any video yet from that event, but fortunately, Dave Grogan, friend of the CIA, friend of our various musical groups and circles, did.
Did he?
And Leo Gillis, the brother of Jack Gillis, now known as Jack White, because he took his wife's name when he married Meg White. Leo Gillis sang the Bob Dylan tune in honor of his mother, who passed away that same day as he came to our party.
Yep.
And, of course, the news carried stories about Jack White's reaction to her passing. Well, we got to see his brother Leo's reaction to her passing. He had considered not coming at all, but I think it wasn't much of a surprise that she had passed away. She was very old, and he came and sang in honor of her. So that is linked to in the show notes.
Yeah, very sweet.
Look at the description on YouTube for that. And then under Hot Topics this week, we've got Kant's Moral Philosophy. The great Immanuel Kant.
No, so great.
He's so great. He's so great. No, that's another guy.
So great. Get it?
I was reading from Kant's Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals because I was looking for kind of an answer to the discussion we had last night in Great Lakes Objectivists, talking about virtue. And Kant says right at the beginning of the Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals, a good will. Well, goodwill is one of my favorite topics, so right away I'm interested there. A good will is good not because of what it effects or accomplishes, not because of its fitness to attain some intended end, but good just by its willing, i.e., in itself. And he goes on to explain, because the first thing you think is, does he really mean it? Now, I'm all in favor of goodwill. I think intent matters, but intent is not the substance of virtue. So he goes on a little bit later in the same Groundwork of the Metaphysics of Morals. It is impossible to conceive anything at all in the world, or even out of it, which can be taken as good without qualification, except a good will. Like nothing else is purely good but that. And that idea of deontological ethics, ethics that says these are the rules, and to be good is to follow the rules. Why? Because they are the rules, because it is the good to do the good thing, not for any of its effects. And that's Immanuel Kant. People have criticized objectivists, Ayn Rand fans, followers of Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism, for criticizing Immanuel Kant, who said so many good things. Like, for example, you should never consider other people merely as ends to your own values. Everybody should be considered an end in himself. There are ways you can interpret that are truly powerful and wise and even lovely. But the idea that the only truly good thing, the only, what does he say? The only good that can be taken without qualification is a good will. In other words, the intention to do good, the motive to do good, not for anything it does for you or anybody else, but because it is good. Talk about disconnecting virtue from real life, from anything that has anything to do with anything. Ayn Rand, on the other hand, says, value is that which one acts to gain and keep. Mm-hmm. Virtue, this is right out of the speech we were reading from last night. Yes. Virtue is the action by which one gains and keeps it. Now, some of you may be familiar with that rift between deontological ethics, rules-based ethics, duty-based ethics,
duty ethics,
and consequentialism. The idea that the only way you can judge an action is by the consequences it brings, which kind of sounds practical. Or what we would say is pragmatic. Mm-hmm. Because principles sound like they belong on the side of deontology or Kant. Practicalness, consequences, consequentialism, virtues as something that actually brings ends into your life sounds like pragmatism. And the unique thing about Ayn Rand is that she understands that's a false alternative. Objectivism is not deontological, not in the Kantian sense. And it's not consequentialist, not in the pragmatist sense. Because we do advocate moral principles. But to what end? Not for their own sake, not like Kant would say, you do it because it's your duty, you do it because it's right.
Yeah, they're not intrinsic or dogmatic.
And that gets us to the point that we want to make, which is that virtues are selfish. Mm-hmm. You know, Ayn Rand has a book called The Virtue of Selfishness. And the point that she makes is absolutely right. What I want to do, though, is turn that around and make the point that virtues are selfish. They are self-interested. They get you what you want. There are some folks, some of us, some people like me when I was younger who get into objectivism and we realize, oh, rationality, honesty, integrity, productiveness, justice, pride, these things are personal and practical. But we still kind of feel them as rules, as, oh, well, if you're going to be a good person, then you'd better do those things. And you have to kind of go a little further to realize, no, you do those things, you adopt those principles for your own sake. And you treat them as principles, not just as consequentialist or pragmatic, because even when you don't see in a given instance why honesty is in your self-interest, even if you're in a circumstance where productiveness doesn't seem important, even if sometimes the pressure is put on you to be unjust, and people will make you pay, they will punish you for being just. You do those things anyway, not out of self-sacrifice and not out of just consequences or pragmatism, but because you now understand, no, it's in my self-interest to do those things, even if I can't see it in the moment. Why? Oh, it'd be easier to tell a lie here than to tell the truth. It would be easier for me to be nice to the bad guy in this situation and turn my back on the victim. And that was so clear to me last night, reading, for example, about Ayn Rand's 3 top values, central values, or her 7 primary virtues. How these are not rules, they're certainly not rules in the deontological or Kantian sense, but they're also not just tips, practical tips for how to get more out of life. No, it is the union of both of those, or rather, it's neither and both of those. These are tools for living your own best life. This is the stuff you need to know and need to use in order to make a great life. And Ayn Rand was not the first person to say you should be honest, and it redounds to your own self-interest. There's a lot of great witticisms out there about these virtues. For example, Mark Twain said, if you always tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. By which he obviously meant you don't have to remember who you told what. And that's true, and there's a great relief that comes when you actually adopt honesty as a principle. It makes your life simpler, it makes your life better, it makes you more virtuous, and it makes everything easier. And the same thing turns out to be true for every virtue, and not just Ayn Rand's primary 7 virtues, but even minor or tangential virtues, courage, confidence, for example. But the important thing is to realize that even when it feels like a duty, it would be easier, say, in this circumstance, for me to run away than to stand up for myself. Even when it feels deontological, imposed, duteous, because you understand justice or because you understand honesty, you're like, no, I am going to be honest, and right away in the moment to adopt that, even if sometimes it feels like a sacrifice, it also feels like a cause for self-esteem, because it is. So anytime you catch yourself, and maybe you never do, but anytime I catch myself feeling like a virtue is imposed, like it's external to me, it's not me, I have to remind myself, no, I'm honest. I'm an honest person, and honesty has always served me well. And even if right now I feel like, man, you're going to pay the price if you tell the truth, no, I'm an honest man, and that's what I do. And I hope you can feel that about every virtue that you have validated, not just by reading it in Ayn Rand or any other philosopher's book, but by your own firsthand thinking. I hope you can realize, yeah, these are tools in my toolkit. I always say philosophy is a better tool than a weapon. It's actually a pretty good weapon too, but that's secondary. That's trivial. The important thing is they're tools. They're for you. Virtue is selfish. You have that same feeling too, Amy? Or do you ever catch yourself, sometimes thinking, man, it's in some circumstance, yeah, they're really going to make me pay for being good. Probably not so much anymore at this point in your life.
Rephrase that. Pay for being good?
Yeah, like if you tell the truth, for example, there will be a penalty, whereas it would be easier to lie.
Well, in some cases, possibly. But I tell myself that I wouldn't be able to look in the mirror unless I actually was authentically being me and being true to myself. I need to have a good relationship with myself, and I need to be. I also need to assume positive intent of the people around me. And I'm not just going to go in and say, you know what, I really think that if I tell the truth here, that people are not going to like it, or they're going to denounce me or condemn me or whatever. That's an extreme rarity in my life. Even in situations where I'm talking with people that I know I disagree with. But I can usually articulate well enough to make a point that is a positive point that's really hard to disagree with. I might tell people that I disagree with them about whatever it is, but I try to turn it around and say, this is the solution to this problem, or this is where we can bridge our gaps here. You might agree with me on this, and then go from there, and then come up with, try to come up with something inspirational and both moral and practical in that sense. So I usually am pretty confident about speaking my mind in those situations, because, and sometimes I say things and I'm like, well, I guess I could have said more there to, but sometimes you're in a context where you don't have a long time with somebody, or you can't, it's not possible to really explain yourself fully, but I'm proud of myself for speaking up in a lot of cases. And so no, I usually have a pretty good, for the people that are in my life, who I choose to have in my life, I trust that they are rational enough and that they see value in me. If they don't see value in me, and there are a few out there in the world, that's fine. It's okay. Then, they're not in my life. So it's not like I have to convince them of anything, but I've had great success, especially with promoting these virtues, and calling out virtues when I see them in other people, and explaining myself what I think that they're doing, what their actions are, what they're saying is virtuous, is conducive to flourishing in life, to enriching your life. And I try to explain myself as best I can in the situation. And so no, I don't really have a lot of fear, but sometimes I kind of wonder, maybe they're not going to agree with me, but I try not to let that stop me. I try to assume positive intent. That's
more valuable than I can possibly explain, especially to the younger people we know, who have the impression that the world is full of bad people, rotten people. Not just people that we know are bad. It seems like a lot of them are in leadership positions, but just your average man in the street. Some people get into Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism and then decide anybody who's not an objectivist is a bad person, or is at best suspect. And I think there's a terrible mistake involved in there. That would take an entire other episode. I'd kind of almost like to do that. It would essentially be an update to our previous episode called I've Seen All Good People.
Yes.
Some of you will know where that line comes from. all I can say in a short amount of time before we wrap up here is check your premises. If you have the sense that most people are bad, most people are not good, we would not be here. I would not be here. The world would not be here, at least in the way that it is, if there was not a substantial amount of virtue in the majority of people. Certainly most of the people that I meet just on a day-to-day basis and at random. And I don't live in some small community where everybody is super sweet all the time, but just in the real world, somehow the wheels of the world are kept turning. Whole different discussion there, but yes. And Jim incidentally says, I consider Kant's categorical imperative presented in his fundamental principles of the metaphysics of morals is the most heinous philosophical crime ever committed against humanity. Yeah, it's got to be right up there. Some people just take that to mean that you should act in a way in which you could wish or will that everybody would act the same. You know, don't do things that you wouldn't have other people do. Some people try to scale that down to the golden rule. Trouble is, it ends up empty. And it's really bad to base your ethics on an empty idea or a whim-based idea. The way I've always put it is, if I actually acted in the manner that I want everybody else to act, I would end up in jail probably the same day. Think of all the things you wish other people would do, and you'll understand what I mean. So yes, it is not a good basis for ethics.
Yeah, duty ethics defeats the point of having ethics because it overrides your thinking mind. And that's really good, Robert. Your point, and I love your phrasing of the selfishness of virtue. Virtue works for you. It's a tool for you. It's a positive tool for you to guide your life.
Right.
And if it's anything less than that, question it.
Yes. If you think of objectivism as a weapon, or as a tool, but a tool for judging other people and not for living your own best life. Certainly, objectivism gives you the means to judge other people and do it objectively. But that's secondary. The more important aspect of it, this is the owner's manual for life. This is the book you should have been given, or your parents should have been given and handed down to you from the first day when you came out of the hospital, when you came out of the womb. That's how you should be. Well, I shouldn't say you should. It's certainly up to each and every one of you to decide this. But my best understanding would be, no, that's what philosophy is. It's what it's for. Philosophy is love of wisdom, love of life, the science of living your own best life. And, one aspect of that is in dealing with other people. But that's secondary. I mean, It's not too far down because I love other people. I love people. They're my species. Yes.
Human beings are our favorite species here on 5 Minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir. Do we have time to go over some snippets of the John Galt speech that we read last night?
Sure. Yeah, we can wrap up with some of Amy's insights. She has highlighted aspects of the part of the speech between 30 and 40% of those pages. What we would just have labeled March. Starting with the three virtues we didn't discuss last month, justice.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go through the definitions. These are just little snippets of the speech.
Yes, share with us your insights.
You'll have to forgive me because some of these are you might say that they're taken out of context, but I think that they stand pretty much on their own, especially if for our audience, I should say. But I love. I just highlighted things that I really loved. So she's talking about justice, and she says, to withhold your admiration from other people's virtues is an act of moral embezzlement. And I love that because it's just a reminder to myself that if I see good people around me, I need to call them out, tell them why they're good. And to withhold that is, in that way, I love her analogy with regard to currency and virtue. It's really, really fantastic in terms of moral embezzlement. You're being stingy, with your justice. Don't be stingy with justice. Go out and, like we say, in paraphrasing Leonard Peikoff, the first duty of justice is to defend and acknowledge and praise. We put that in there. The good. So acknowledge and defend and praise the good.
Yes, look up that Peikoff quote. The first duty of justice. Anytime you start thinking the purpose of philosophy is to criticize, is to focus on the negative.
Yeah, next is productiveness. And the phrase that I called out is, all work is creative work if done by a thinking mind. And, me and my friend Steve were talking about this last night at Glow. And I was kind of honored because he thanked me for reminding me of this. And I had talked with him a long time ago about this. And he had thought, well, I go to work, I'm a project manager, I solve problems, I put out fires, I organize things in a certain way that make more sense and, streamline workflows and things. Is that really creative?
Creative work, that's what artists do.
Yeah, that's what artists and painters and sculptors and musicians do. That's not creative. No, it is creative. It is taking these concepts and redirecting them or mixing them up in a certain way that actually solves problems.
Yes. All work is creative work.
If done by a thinking mind.
Yes, love that. And obviously by creative, we include creation, production. And that's where values come from. If reason is man's faculty of survival, then that kind of creativity is not just good, it's essential, it's irreplaceable. Love that. Incidentally, since we mentioned Steve, another Stephen is in the chat. Hello. And where do DMV car renewal fees stand with respect to other taxes, especially when they make you get a smog check? Is it a major imposition? I don't have an answer to that. Or rather, I think that will be handled as a private matter. It would be a very different discussion from what we're having today, but it is an interesting question, and when we have one where we talk more about government, we could get into more detail. But the short answer is that it belongs in that category of things which, if the government was not doing them or not primarily responsible for them, could easily be handled. The example people give, but it's really just one of a number of organizations, is UL, Underwriters Laboratories. You could certainly have private organizations doing automobile testing in terms of if there is a reason to believe that your vehicle is doing harm to other people, is it's an excessive cause of pollution in your neighborhood, for example, and the police have a reason to say, look, every time you drive down the street, you're making everybody miserable on their own private property. You need to do something about that. Would the government be running those? No, probably not. Smog checks, I mean, there's a legitimate question there. Ayn Rand even made the point that the smog used to be so bad in LA and it was properly regulated, and eventually it's no longer an issue. So the point is, yeah, there could be a place for that. There would be ways to make it less onerous, less of a burden. But I'm not prepared to say out of hand that, for example, DMV car renewal fees are wrong. I would love to see all that handled privately. We talk about private roads and what that would actually look like. It's not like some guy would own the street in front of your house. That's not how that would actually happen. Look at other areas in which public areas of egress are managed privately. It can and would be done.
And next, Stephen question, and we don't, unfortunately, we're going to have to wrap up because I need to still get through my thing here. So, Stephen, thank you. Did you see the movie The Wrong Guy in 1997? I don't think we did.
I don't think so either.
No, but that actually, that has one of my very favorite, Dave Foley. So he started with The Kids in the Hall, and I love The Kids in the Hall. Robert's not a particular fan, but I grew up with The Kids in the Hall as a teenager, and, living near, around Detroit and everything. We're right next to Canada, and, as Michigan is the 11th province of Canada. So, I love The Kids in the Hall, and I love Dave Foley. I have not seen that movie, so maybe I should go see it. All right. So the next one here, we're going into pride.
Pride.
And this is my snippet. The first precondition of self-esteem is that radiant selfishness of soul, which desires the best in all things, in values of matter and spirit. So the takeaway from that is, you think of yourself as when you were a child, when you were in a toy store, and all of these things are things that you select, that you love the best. And, think of life in that way. Your choices, your values, the things that you like, embrace those things that you like, and embrace the fact that you can find the best things in life, and that you can make a judgment call on what is the best thing. Of course, using your rational mind, understanding why you chose something, but really celebrate the fact that you have that power. You have that power to go out and find the best in all things, in values of matter and spirit, and be proud. Have esteem for your self-esteem, as it were, in that very meta way. Love that so much. The next one here, he's talking about he's talking. This is where John Galt gets a little bit fiery after the virtues, and and he's saying to people in the audience, he said, "You still long to say what I am now saying to the hearing of the whole of mankind. Quote, I am proud of my own value and of the fact that I wish to live." And he goes on to say, life is the reward of virtue, and happiness is the goal and the reward of life. And there's a lot going on in that sentence, by the way. I mean, and of course, Ayn Rand extrapolates on all of that and explains all of I mean, I love the fact that she can explain and differentiate all the different perspectives of what rationality means as a virtue. And that includes all the other 6 virtues that she talks about. But I mean, life is the reward of virtue. Life is the reward of virtue. I mean, let that sink in. The fact that you go out not only just to sustain yourself or to survive on meager means, but flourishing life, really embracing your life, your values, and happiness is the goal and the reward of life. So that's fantastic. Thank you, Ayn Rand. You are, I love you so much. Let's see here. There's so much here. And I'll say she uses some polemics in her definition of happiness, Happiness is a state of non-contradictory joy. It's a joy without penalty or guilt. And a joy that does not clash with any of your values and does not work for your own destruction. Using your mind's fullest power, achieving values that are real. And now I've just extracted the positive statements out of that, and as opposed to the contrary ones where she says, don't do this. But love it. And let's see here. Let's see if there's any other gems.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, and maybe we can close with that.
Okay.
One of the interesting exercises you can do if you have a printout of Ayn Rand's work, or you don't mind highlighting a book, or if you have an editable copy, is take a work like the speech in Atlas Shrugged and highlight for yourself or edit out for yourself in kind of the same way that Thomas Jefferson did with the Bible. There's an edited version of the Bible, what's known as Jefferson's Bible, in which he edits out just all of the virtuous parts and gets rid of all the miracles and all the hooey. And try that with, for example, the speech in Atlas Shrugged, the big one. You know what I'm talking about. We've done a lot of spoilers already, so I guess it doesn't matter what I call it, but do that. And as valuable as they are, just for the purpose of this exercise, leave out all of the polemics, all of the don't do this, and this is evil, and this is bad, and you evaders, and make yourself a copy of the speech with just the positive assertion of Ayn Rand's philosophy.
Yes.
And you will come up with the most valuable, but also the most benevolent, powerful document. And we've done this a couple times here on the show with shorter passages than that. I don't mean to criticize Ayn Rand for her polemics. She called out things which, if she hadn't called them out, her philosophy would not have been clear. But try that, and we'll do some more of that in some episodes coming up. Point is, bottom line is, just to wrap up here, virtues are for your own sake. They're not rules passed down from heaven or granted to you by society, much less Immanuel Kant. And they're not just tips and tricks in the pragmatic sense of, well, most of the time this stuff will get you what you want. They are both principles and practical. So use them that way. I hope you're doing that. I hope you're getting that out of these ideas, out of the virtues that you live by, and that is what I wanted to share tonight. It's certainly worked out well for me, and I've still got a long way to go in my journey because, as I say, despite what people want to claim about modern medicine, I'm still young. Most of us are. If you're young at heart, you're still young. If you're actually young, oh my gosh, I'm jealous, and you have a wonderful journey ahead of you. Folks, thank you for joining us. This has been 5 minutes, or maybe a little bit longer than
multiples of 5 minutes.
5 minutes, a few 5 minutes with Robert and Amy Nasir.
Sometimes we say we all contain multitudes.
Yes, I contain multitudes. Well, we contain multitudes of 5 minutes. And thank you. Thank you especially to those of you who have been listening or watching live. For those of you who are in the chat, we appreciate all of your comments. We did not answer all of the questions. I don't know if we ever answer all of the questions, but we do our best and we do monitor what's going on. And we appreciate the company. The show would not be what it is without you there. So thank you for that. We will do it all again next Sunday. In the meantime, please consider sharing the show. A few of you did even before the show started, and that's great. That brings more people in during the live show and in the chats on both Facebook and YouTube. If you could, please, on the YouTube side of things, please like the show. Consider sharing the episode. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if that's not enough, some of you are also patrons on patreon.com/Robert Nasir. Thank you for that. If you want to join those good people keeping the lights on here at Studio Nasir, patreon.com/Robert Nasir. You'll find that link at the bottom of robertnasir.com. And with that said, all that is left is for us to say thank you and wish you all of the success that you so richly deserve. We know you do. Ne'er-do-wells, bad guys, don't listen to a show like this. You do. That makes you a cut above. You are the best audience in podcasting. And for that reason and a whole bunch of others, we wish you love.